Hello, Stephanie Chairman here, looking at some more functions that are part of the syllabus for the ICDL Advanced Spreadsheet Software qualification. I'm using Excel 2016 to demonstrate, but obviously you can use Office 365 as well. So what this one's going to look at, this video, are some of the areas in what they call the stats and mathematical functions. Basically the SUMIF and the ROUNDUP and the ROUNDDOWN. You cannot use an ordinary round in the advanced syllabus because the ordinary round just moves decimal places. What the roundup and ROUNDDOWN will do will actually move up to the next numeric value or down to the next numeric value. So some difference there, so just be careful that you don't just assume it's a round. It will tell you in the exam if it wants it down. You'll see a word down or up somewhere in that question, and if you're just using this for your own purpose, I hope you enjoy it as well. So it's nice and not too bad, nice, short and sweet.
I've done an example here. I'll show you it that way, and then I'll show you it in the insert function way as well. So there's the conditions we're meeting. So the range is the E6 to the E14, so that's our range. And the criteria is to be less than 500. So these are quite easy to type in. So if I delete this, we're following this, so don't worry, you've got it there. Okay, delete. Okay, so we do our equal sum if, there it is there, double click on it. We're picking up the range. The exam test question would tell us the range that we're looking at. And we're looking for criteria, so we put in a comma. I'm going to use speech marks because I'm using a less than. And a less than is counted as character, text, or letter. Okay, it's not data, it's not a number. Then your 500, speech mark again, and close the bracket. Tick the little box, and then what you've done is you've added up everything that is less than 500. Let's delete it again and do it a different way using the insert paste function. So I'm going to put my function in first. I know it's a sum up this information if it meets a certain criteria. Go into my FX, I'm just going to bring that there so you can see it. So the range is this, and the criteria is less than 500. Notice that I don't have to put the speech marks in. So if I'm a little bit nervous in the exam, or I just want to make things as easy as possible for myself, I don't need to use that. If I click away, you can see that it automatically does the speech marks for me, and I still get it correct. If we look at the next one down, this one in E20, this one's saying that we want to add up the amount for the company Smith & Co. only. So if I double click on that, you can see the format of it. We've got a little bit more going on than just criteria. So let's have a look at it in the insert paste function. We have the range that it's looking at, that's where that criteria is, that's where Smith & Co. is. We're looking at the one from that range that we're concentrating on, which is Smith & Co. So just clicked on there. And then we've got the range we're adding up for Smith & Co. only, which is this. Okay, so let's have a go. So it's the E6 to E14. Let's do it together. I'm going to delete that out. So let's do it with the paste insert function first. So equals SUMIF again. So I'm summing up something that meets a criteria. Into I'll pop it at the top, and then you can see this down here. So we have our range where our Smith & Co. is. We have our Smith & Co. That's an example cell, if you like, of who it is. I've typed it in, I've used the cell reference. And then the sum range, according to that criteria, is in here. So it's only going to add up the green, if you like, within that area. And we've already got a comeback example of an answer. Okay, and then it's done. If you were asked to do E23 here, and you were asked to add up the totals for all companies except J. Jones in E23, it gets a little bit trickier. If I click there, you can see that there's a help along the way. So before we do it, have a look at the way that we've used the chevrons opposite each other. This happens quite a lot in using this syntax to represent not. So let's have a look at how we'd put that in. So we need to put in the if, the SUMIF, double click. We need to use the range where that is, remember, like we did last time, so it's in there, come down. We have a comma, a speech mark, because the chevrons are considered letters, character, text, etc. The J, Jones, exactly as it is, with a space between the J and the Jones, but not after the syntax. Speech mark it again, comma, and we're adding up the totals. So we're actually adding up this range here and closing it off. And there we have. And what I've done here is I've just added it up just to see what it would add up without that. So I've done a sum, basic sum minus a G8. So if you had a vast amount of data, this is a really good way of doing it quickly. Let's delete that. This time let's do it with the insert function. So we've got the SUMIF again, up to our FX. Okay, our range is where the Smith and Jones is going to be, but obviously not using the company heading. Our criteria is the not J space Jones. And pop an S on. When I click away from it, the speech marks automatically appear. And then the sum range we're adding up is the G6 to the G14. And we've already got the same result. So whichever way you want to use is absolutely fine in the exam. So keep your head, think about what range are we looking at, what's the criteria within that range, or just the criteria. As the first one, we had less than 500, and then add up the range they're talking about. Okay, I'm going to move on to the round now. Right, first thing is we don't use a round in the exam. When it talks to you with regard to questions, it will always say round up the following or range or instance, or round down the first instance or the range. It will never say round. Okay, so don't use a round. I've done some examples here where I've done a round, if you like, on the G6. So you can see how the round down brings it down to the nearest 10. So the 10 there, not the decimalisation. And this one rounds it up. So that one goes to 536 and that one goes down to 535. And that will work all the way along. It doesn't affect the decimalisation. It doesn't take the decimal places off. And that's what people think round does. So it's gone down to the nearest pound, the nearest 10. This one, you can see that it sort of makes a difference when you use a round. It's affecting the decimalisation. This one is not decimal places. So what we're looking for is something that just is quite simple. You pop in let's just delete it. So you would pop in the round down, if that's what it is. Type in round, double click on the round down, click on the cell it's referring to, and then what it's asking is by how many digits. Do you want to round it to a 0, round it to a 1, round it to a 2? So if we did it as a 1, and close the brackets and entered. We round down 1, makes no difference. I'll take that to the next one. You can see it has made a difference because that's already got the 1, the 8. That's got a 5 now, and that's got a 3. So it's going down to that digit. We put in a 0, then it's going down to the nearest pound. It's staying there. See the difference? We put a 2 in, it'll stay exactly the same. So it's pretty straightforward to use. If we use it in the FX, it's just that. It's just what are we rounding and rounding by what. And if you click in these, you can see what it's actually doing. Okay, so the nearest integer, zeros point or admitted to the nearest integer. Okay, so that's quite straightforward.